All right, everybody. Hello and welcome to our Lab 6 overview. So this is kind of the counterpart to Lab 5 in that we're doing a t-test now in SPSS using the same data that we used over in Excel. So I have my VMware open here. I have SPSS open. They want to know what I think. But let's go. All right, let's give this a try. So with SPSS, what we always want to do is set up our variables first. All right, so we have the same research scenario here in which we are interested in fields of crops. All right, so we're going to have a label for field. And then we're also, oh goodness, please. Okay, and then a variable for yield as well. So those instructions are over here. And we're going to want to label our fields. If you remember the data from last time, we had field 1. All right, so we'll do a 1 for field 1, and we'll do a 2 for field 2. All right, so just 1s and 2s for field 1 and field 2. So this is a nominal measure, categorical. Then we're going to have yield on a scale here. All right, so let's go ahead and hop back to our data view, and we can see that it's ready for us to put in some data here. So what we have here on the instructions is what we put into Excel. So remember that Excel and SPSS handle data differently. SPSS likes coding and order. Excel will look something like this. So this is a screenshot from Excel, and you're going to put this data into SPSS. But this is what we're going to do, all right? So we have field 1, we have field 2. Let me even see if I can get our windows so we can see both at once, all right? So we have field 1, and we have 16 values for field 1, all right? So we're going to make 16 labels for field 1. All right, down to number 16. Then we also have 16 values for field 2. So you should have 32 total rows of data here. Then you would go ahead and put each of these in. Okay, so starting with field 1, we have 15.2, we have 15.3, we have 16, and you would go on and on and on until you fill in all the data for field 1, and then you would move over to field 2 and put the data in this way. All right, so I have a screenshot here further down of what this should look like, but this is not all of the data that you put in. Okay, you need to put in all of the data, all 32 rows, so make sure that we do that. Okay, so I have some data for field 2 and some data for field 1. So as usual with these reviews here, I'm not going to put all the data in, but I will show you what we need to do next. We're going to do a compare means and then run an independent samples t-test. Comparing the yield grouped by field. All right, kind of a fun rhyme here, but we're going to do compare means, oh boy, okay, compare means and an independent samples t-test. So we want to test the yield, and we want to group by field. We're going to click this define groups button and say, okay, we have a group 1 and a group 2. And if we press OK, we're going to get an output here. Let me widen my, my window here a little bit. All right, so we have some output, all right? It gave us the mean for each field, the n of each field, and it actually ran an independent samples t-test. And this is where we can find out if this is significant. It gives us a t-value. It gives us a significance value over here. This is a different significance value. This is what we'd be interested in. But that's how we basically run an independent samples t-test in SPSS. So we just did this, we just did that. Shows you what you should take a look at to get an idea of how this went. And then we want to calculate confidence intervals. All right, so to calculate confidence intervals, we would want to split the file by field. We've done a split file before, so you go to data, you go to split file, you say organize the output by groups, and we want to organize by field, right, our two different groups, and press OK. What we're going to do is get confidence intervals, or ranges around the mean that we would expect to find given the data from these fields. So you would go into descriptive statistics, into explore, into statistics, and you will find where you can get confidence intervals. All right, so We want to display the statistics. If we move in here, we can get confidence intervals of 95%. All right, so our dependent variable is going to be yield, and we want to look across field here. So notice that it gives us output specific to field 1 that we can take a look at, and of course mine will be nonsense since I don't have all the data. But then output for field 2 as well, in which we'll have confidence intervals. So depending on when you're doing this lab, we may or may not have talked about confidence intervals yet, but they're basically windows around the mean that we would expect data to be near if we're pulling from a population. So that's about it for our confidence intervals. And that's it really. I include what you need for this particular lab. You just need to give me your output file. So this file here, and I list off all the tables you need. You need the confidence interval tables as well as these t-test tables. But that concludes it for this lab, our SPSS counterpart to t-tests. So please be in touch if you have any questions.